Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn about function overloading. Let us look to the introduction part. In previous chapter, under the topic polymorphism, we had learned about function overloading. So here it says, the polymorphism refers to one name having many forms, different behaviors of an instance depending upon its situation. If you have learned the previous chapter, you will come to know that polymorphism means one name, multiple form. So that is being carried forward in this chapter. C++ implements polymorphism through overloaded functions and overloaded operators. So first, let us understand what is overloading. The term overloading means a name having two or more distinct meanings. Thus, an overloaded function refers to a function having more than one distinct meanings. Similarly, when two or more distinct meanings are defined for an operator, it is said to be an overloaded operator. Function overloading is also called compile time polymorphism. It is also defined as static binding or early binding. Now what is this static binding or early binding? When the argument of the method are resolved during the compilation stage, this is called an static binding or early binding of the argument of function. So let us see the definition of function overloading. A function name having several definitions that are differentiable by the number or types of their arguments is known as overloading of function. This means that function name would be same for each of the function while their arguments will differ. So the next line says, it can be distinguished by their numbers and types of argument. For example, here as we can see, the name remains the same, which is shape. Its return type remains the same, but the arguments are differing. Here for the first one it is having one argument, here two integer arguments, and for the third function we are having float and character as their argument. You can use many more of them. So let us see what is the need of this function overloading. Function overloading not only implements polymorphism but also reduces number of comparisons in programming and thereby makes the program run faster. So here object have characteristics and associated behaviors, but its behavior may differentiate in different situations. In simple meaning, if we understand what is function overloading, in chapter 1 we had learned about functions which allow us to create many functions in a program with different names. Same way, we can create function in function overloading but with the same name. So now you might be thinking that when we can define different function name for different situation, then why should we repeat the same name function again and again? Yes, you are right. Alternatively, you always can define different function name for different situation. For example, over here we have defined two different functions with different function name, so and different parameters. So here there would be no error while running the program. It would run very safely as this is called an functions. Different functions been created with different arguments and it would be printed. Whatever data is there inside it would be printed as it is. But such multiple definitions, you need to decide yourself upon which function should be executed at which situation. So over here, if this condition goes true, I have to decide that I have to call over here C day, else then it would call the another function which is C night. Whereas in function overloading, the name of the function remains same, only the argument changes. So there is no need to remember at which place which to call, which function is to be called. Only the argument you have to pass, and according to it, it will call its own function. Means if suppose here point value is been passed, it will automatically call the first function, and if here the integer is passed, it will automatically call the second function. So would it not be nice if the compiler automatically decides which function should be executed at which situation? It will not only reduce the code by reducing the number of if-else, but also makes the code execute faster, as so many comparisons are eliminated. But the compiler decides about it only when functions are overloaded. Now let us see the declaration and definition of function overloading. The key to function overloading is a function's argument list, which is also known as the function signature. It is the signature, not the function type, that enables function overloading. One thing that is to be kept in mind is that argument should be sufficiently different to allow the function to be differentiated while it is being used. When a function name is declared more than once in a program, a compiler will interpret the second declaration as point 1. If the signature of subsequent function match the previous functions, then the second is treated as redeclared of the first one. The second point is function with the same signature and same name but different return type are not allowed in C++. And the third point is if the signature of two functions differ in either number or type of their arguments, the functions are considered to be overloaded. Let us look to the restrictions of function overloading. The first one is the two overloaded functions must have different argument list. This means that if two functions have same argument list, then the program will give the error. Second restriction is if same argument list with the same function name and different return type will give an error. So in the previous topic what we had discussed, that if the return type are different but the argument list and the name is same, then too the program will give an error. The third restriction is member function cannot be overloaded if one is static and another is non-static. So this we will learn in the later chapters. The fourth one is type-def declaration cannot be defined as new data type. So in the argument you cannot define type-def as a different argument. And the last one is the type array and pointer are considered identical. So while overloading of a function, conflict occurs due to which error message is generated in program. So it means when we declare two functions, one with argument array and another with argument pointer, then while calling the function, the conflict would be created as array and pointer are considered to be same. In the previous chapter, we had learned about arrays. It gives us a area or a block of area and we can refer it with the help of address. Same way, pointer will allow us to refer the values with an address. So the conflict would be occurred as to which to be called, array or the pointer. So let us proceed further and see how the functions are being called. A function call first matches the prototype available with the number and type of arguments provided with the function call and then calls the appropriate function for execution. So function overloading are called just like the other functions have been called. The number and type of argument determined in the function are to be invoked. Now here in the example, as you can see, inside void main I have overloaded the function calls. Here for the first one I have written integer value, second is character, and the third one is float value as suffix I have added. What is all that? I'll explain later on. Now what this will do is, it will go, here I have mentioned integer, so it will go to its own specific function call, where I would have an function with an argument integer, so it will send this data to that specific function definition. Same way for the character and for the float. Here by declaring the different argument, it will identically call its own function. But sometimes there might be an ambiguity between float and double values. When we will write inside the argument, we can write float, double, or we can write integer or long value. So as we know that float and double both indicates this floating value. So when we'll pass just the point value or the floating value, it will be confused which one to call. So for that specification, we have used suffix to add or to avoid the ambiguity. For float we will write F, for long we will write L, U is for unsigned and UL is unsigned long integer. So for integers, if we are having a problem, here if we will write a phone number, then it would be confused whether to call the integer or the long integer. To specify that it is to be called with the long integer, we will write over here L if we want to call long integer. If we have written just a simple integer value, it will directly call the int function. Using suffix, we can remove the ambiguity between the functions being called. Function overloading. Now the next topic is steps to involve in finding the best match. Which is the best match to find the function which is being used. Now there are three possibility cases. First one is a match, second no match, third ambiguous match. So the explanation for the first one is, a match is found for the calling function. Then the first one is the possible case. For the second one, no match is found for the calling function. And the third one is, more than one instance match for the calling function is found. Then the third possibility is occurred. Let us see how compiler tries to find the best possible match with the following steps. First one is search for exact match. In this, if the type of the actual argument exactly matches the type of one defined instance, the compiler invokes the particular instance. So if it finds the exact match, then it will be invoked. Second one, a match through promotion. So in this, if no exact match is found, an attempt is made to achieve a match through promotion of the actual argument, which means if we are trying to call a character argument in the function, if there is no such a function which is having an character argument, then it will call another argument which supports character. Suppose we have an integer function being declared, and we are calling for the character. If there is no character in the function argument, then it will call the integer function argument. The third one is a match through application of standard C++ conversion rule. In this, if no exact match or a match through a promotion is found, an attempt is made to achieve a match through a standard conversion of an actual argument. This means if we are passing an integer value in the function call, now where we are calling the function, there is no argument being used as an integer. So it will convert the integer value into floating point or double value, and then that function would be called or it would be derived. And the last one is a match through application of a user defined conversion. So in this, if all the above mentioned step fails, then the compiler will try the user defined conversion in a combination of integer promotion and built-in conversion to find a unique match. So if none of the above one works, this fourth one it tries to compile it. If this one fails, then error message is being shown to us. Now let us see a small program to understand how function is being overloaded. Before going in the program, let us see an example of how the compiler find its best match in the program. The first one was finding or searching the exact match. So here we are calling an integer value by passing in the calling function, and it will go to the declaration part and find its own exact match, which is this. Here it is having an argument as integer, so it will call this value. Now the second one was to promotion or a match through promotion. So here this character value has lower bytes compared to integer, so it will call integer as it is more near to it. So this character value does not have its own exact match, so it will call the integer argument function. And the third one was a match through standard C++ conversion. So now here we are passing an integer value. The nearest match to it is the double value, because the character value has lower byte compared to integer, so it will not point or not redirect to that portion. It will go to the double function. This means that the function which has a double as its argument will be called. Now let us see a program to make it more clear. Now here in this program, as we used to declare the header file for the previous program, we have declared as it is. Now here we have used 4 overloading functions which have same return type as void, and its function name is amount. So all 4 of them have void and amount name same, but its argument is differing. So for the first one I have used first argument, or you can say a parameter. Then for the second one I have used 2 arguments as integer and integer, so this is different from the second one. Then for the third one I have used integer and float, and the last one I have used integer and double as their parameters. Now this is just a simple program to understand how function overloading works. So this is called an declaration or defining of a function. Now let us go to void main. Here we have written clear screen to clear the output screen. Then the first one what we have written is calling, these are called the calling of function. Now in the first one we have written 10, which is an integer value. So this will call the first function, which is this one. It will pass the value over here and this would be printed. We will see the output and we will understand it clearly, but for just now I am showing you this way, means I'll go on top and then again come down. For the second one, I have passed two integer values, which we'll call the second parameter or function, this two. Then the third one I have called integer and float. Now here I have mentioned the suffix, as you can see over here, f I have written. So it will call this third function, integer and float. And for the last one I have not mentioned anything, so it will call the fourth function, which is integer and double. Let us see the output. First we'll compile it. No errors are there. Let us run it. So as you can see, for the first one it is calling the first parameter. Second one, it is two integer arguments. Third one, it is having one integer and one float, because we had mentioned f, that's why. And for the last one, it is calling one integer and one double argument. So this is how it will call its own functions. So with this, our chapter number 3, which is function overloading, gets over. We'll start with new chapter in the next session, which is classes and object. Till then, please do see my previous videos and keep learning C++. Please do subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed it still. Please do like my video, share it and comment it if needed. Thank you.